How are
Oh,
you today?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just looking at all your collectibles behind you. You've got quite an array. There's, yeah, there's tons of stuff here. Lots of pop culture references I'm getting here. Um, Huzzah! Well done.
It is. I just moved here. This is a new place I'm living now. So I've finally got an office area, which is basically converted attic. So finally, the whole games, brains, and headbanging thing can finally be realized. I was in a flat previously, so it wasn't quite capable of handling all the stuff I wanted to do.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah. Fair enough. I've just recently relocated as well, and yeah, it's beautiful getting a bit more space.
You left London, right?
I did. Yes, I did. Yeah. So I live out on the sort of the wild Suffolk coast now, in the middle of nowhere, which is lovely, because I have much more space and it's really quiet.
Hell of a shift, though. I mean, like those first few days, was it just so? I mean, we all know what city life. I live in London, so city life is insane as it goes. But like, just that moment, the silence, was it disconcerting?
Oh yeah, completely. I'd had a rough idea of what to expect from the countryside, having kind of grown up around the countryside, but not in it. I grew up in a little town called Ipswich, which some people have been to, not many people go to. It's it's pretty much where sort of dreams go to die. So it's like, but yeah, moving here at first, there was a huge learning curve that I wasn't ready for. Like we're not plugged into the mains for like our boiler and stuff. So we have a guy that comes and delivers oil to our boiler once every few months. We had to get a landline, which I haven't had since the 90s. You can't like I'm a big runner, and very quickly realized you can't run once the sun has gone down. I used to run in London all the time at night. It is pitch black here. Like
Of
there is nothing.
course.
So yeah, loads of stuff like that. Everything shuts at like 6 o'clock, just completely. And it's terrifyingly silent. So if there's anything you hear around, you're just kind of like something very primitive, like in you, the kind of thing that hears a twig snap in the woods. Like it's a bit like that. You're like, what was that? What was that? And yeah, it was getting, but it's done me the world of good in the long run. Like I feel so much better now. So yeah.
Were you there by choice? So, like, ultimately, like, I'm glad to hear that it's doing you so much good. But what's been keeping you busy today so far? I mean, it is only 1 o'clock in the afternoon at the time of recording.
So 1 o'clock, what have we done now? I do, aside from music, I still have a couple of things on the side. Not like most musicians have kind of like various different things they do anyway, but I mean, you're not really, maybe if you're like, I don't know, the Foo Fighters or Muse, you're really busy all the time. But most
Hmm.
musicians in between recording and touring, we've got a lot of downtime. So I still do a few work related things. So at the moment, I'm producing a record for a girl called Cecily who's doing a new EP. So I've been working on that this morning, and doing a little bit of like online marketing work and bits and pieces that I do for
Yeah.
various clients. So nothing massively exciting. Bothered the cats for a bit. So yeah, kept them company. And yeah, then I had a very big bowl of shreddies. So it's not been a bad morning by any means. Just nothing particularly of note has occurred yet. So
Well,
yeah.
it's that's not a bad thing. It's just life. Life, it is what life is, isn't it? You do jobs. You got pets. You got how many cats you got?
So Iggy and Pop.
Iggy and that's fantastic. I have two as well, Moxley and Cathausen. They won't be bothering us. They tend to stay downstairs, so it's okay.
Right. Um,
Um,
but yeah, that's one thing I've kind of embraced a little more is the kind of I guess the sort of calm tranquility of normality, of just
mm,
being present and happy with normal stuff. I think from an early age, I was very much like, I've got to succeed, I've got to shoot for the stars, I've got to do all this stuff, I've got to achieve stuff. And now I'm very content with the simplest things, which I don't know if that comes from being on the sort of the wrong side of the grey hair barrier or
mm,
I don't know, but yeah, now little things like hanging out with my cat make me way more happy than anything else. Like really, like it's the simple stuff. So, which again is kind of one of the reasons why I moved out here because I was like, I want to get away from all that stuff. I just want to
yeah.
kind of be in the moment. So it's been good so far.
What does an average day in the life of Ventenner's Charlie Door actually look like, though?
I mean, there's a lot more emails than people think. It's people think it's a lot of like, kind of, I don't know. I think the average person thinks people, if you're in a band, you kind of spend your time rehearsing with each other. And I mean, I don't even see the guys in the band from for months and months at a time. Like we talk all the time, but we don't see each other hardly ever because we're all in different places.
Mm.
Um, so, but day to day, I mean, I try to be pretty creative. So if I'm not working on production work or I'm not working on writing stuff for Ventenner, I'm doing a lot of film scores at the moment, for some for TV, some for film. So I try and make sure I allocate at least, a couple of hours a day to music. Run a lot, spend time with the missus. I watch about 10 films a week usually. So
Mm.
so that yeah, it's usually a film a night and a couple of the weekends extra. So I get through a lot of films. Um yeah, that's about it really. I should do more reading, but I don't because I really don't like it.
Yeah, fair enough. If you don't like it, it's hardly worth forcing yourself to. Because I mean, it's just another mode of entertainment, right? If you're watching films as well, you can get so much from that too. Do you stick to specific? Talking about film, stick to a specific genre, a style? Is there stuff you try to avoid?
Uh I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty good at telling within the first like 2 or 3 minutes. I'm like, this is for me or this isn't. Like, I'm really
Right.
good at deciding that, and I rarely give it a much more of a chance than that. I don't know if that's just me being sort of stubborn and set in my ways. I mean, horror is obviously a big one for me. Like, I've been in horror for years, and I've written for a couple of horror magazines over the years. And I think I'm wearing a horror related t-shirt at the moment. Yeah,
Well,
Cam Crystal Lake Counselor. So yeah, that's a big one for me. And yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of tick a lot of the cliched boxes of someone that's in a band, like, David Lynch, David Fincher, stuff like that.
mm,
There is a really good resurgence in horror at the moment. Like Curry Breaker and Ari Aster and like all the A24 films and stuff that are coming out. Like, there's been a really nice, like, I was always really bummed in the sort of early to mid 2000s, even up to the teens. Like, horror movies have become like a kind of it's a kind of throwaway thing. It's like
mm,
we get completely unknown actors. It's always straight to DVD, and it was never really given. Whereas in the 70s and 80s, it was like, really well-known directors and actors were like putting their names on like classic movies like The Omen and The Shining, and it's been nice to see that coming back actually, that people are doing things for the horror genre again and giving it a bit of a spotlight because it feels like it's been sort of left by the wayside for a long time. So yeah, I'm enjoying this kind of horror resurgence at the moment.
yeah, it does feel like I'd say a lot more what you might I don't know what you might call them traditional dramatic actors are seeing that there's worth in it again. Like there's and then it's not just shock horror slash the found footage stuff that we got from Paranormal Activities, Rise, and so on. Like it is interesting to see whether it continues or not is another thing, but it's cool to see.
It is, yeah. I mean, I think for so many years we were getting the sort of generic topless cheerleader running through the woods and someone with some kind of mask chasing after her, and it was really just awful, like no effort going into it. And I feel bad for like some of the actors and stuff because obviously a lot of those people were trying to break into it with their first films, but they weren't given a push afterwards, and it was kind of just became a bit of a running joke. So yeah, I just watched a great series actually called Black Rabbit with Jude Law and Jason Bateman. That was on Netflix. That just came out a
Okay.
week or so ago. That was really good. Um, and yeah, I usually do on in Halloween, the week after Halloween, I do Halloween. So I get like 10 films together that I'm gonna watch that year. And I just bought a new massive TV, so I'm gonna go back and
Okay.
review some of my old ones on the bigger TV.
Right, cool, cool. Well, yeah, it is October 1st, so it is considered spooky month. But then what is the go-to, like your traditional, I don't know, not necessarily favorite, but just the go-to Halloween watch for you? What is it?
Probably The Fog.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like the classic kind of like spooky ghost story, like local folklore, myth and legend. It's John Carpenter, so it's always going to be good, both on the directing and the music. Um, you've got a great lineup in there. Adrian Barbeau, you've got Jamie Lee Curtis, and I don't know. It just like there's something about the kind of the drowned
Mm,
lepers coming back from the dead in the fog. Like it's very I don't know, there's something about the way it's done. It's just very unsettling. So yeah, no, I love that movie.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, heavily atmospheric. Have you ever seen the remake of that?
I haven't, no. I kind of I saw it pop up at some point and I went, yeah, no, not for me. Is it any good?
Oh, I hated it. I hated it. But that's just my opinion. It's one of those joyful things that I might hate it, but another might love it. But I personally absolutely hated it. It came out around the time when those remakes were kind of making a lot of money, and even this one still sunk without a trace. So like that was like an early clue that things weren't good.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean I mean now and again you get the occasionally good remake, but it's pretty rare.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think the turning point, I mean, for me, I think horror-wise was when It Follows came out.
Mm.
That was a big one for me. Like a lot of people didn't like it. I thought it was absolutely flawless and it was really creepy. And seeing how that's been sort of developing since then, people seem to have had a sort of resurgence in the horror thing on TV as well with like Netflix and
Yeah.
then like HBO are doing Welcome to Derry this month, like the prequel to It, which is going to be cool. There's a great series called From on HBO, which is awesome as well. So yeah, I mean, I love spooky stuff. I've been obsessed with it since I was a kid. Like, I remember like sneaking up to my older brother's room and like looking through his Fangoria magazines when I was about 6 or 7 and like trying not to get caught. So I think it was my strict Catholic upbringing. It was kind of like in the church, it was all kind of like fire and brimstone.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. And it was just kind of the appeal of like, the dark side. So yeah, I was always obsessed with horror since a really early age. And the fact that I had a very, very strict household that I wasn't allowed to watch any of that just made it all the more appealing. So now I'm like, well, yeah, as much as I can get all the time.
The damn forbidden fruit, man.
Exactly. I know.
Tying it into your work within soundtracks, is there what horror movie off the top of your head that just when you think of outside of the Fog, because you did mention that one, that's just got one of the most spectacular soundtracks in your opinion?
Yeah. Soundtrack wise, I mean, I guess one of the first kind of the I was always aware of music because I started like I got into music at a very young age. And so I remember like like noticing things about music. Like I remember I used to watch the really cheesy Robin Hood series with Michael Praed
Oh
when I was a kid.
yeah.
And the soundtrack was done by Clannad. And I remember it had just this really kind of like spooky, like Celtic kind of thing going on. And I remember even at that age, I must have been about 5 or 6, I was like, oh, there's something about that that's like way more interesting to me than what I'm seeing on the screen. And kind of I always liked soundtracks, especially because being a teen in the 90s, it was like the peak era of like the film and soundtrack tie-in. So we had like Spawn and The Crow and Queen the Damned and all these like amazing crossovers that yielded really good albums. Um, but like I think the first time I started noticing actual score work rather than just soundtrack music was like watching all the David Lynch stuff. So
Oh,
and all Angelo's work on like Lost Highway and Mulholland Drive and Twin Peaks, I was like, this is like listening to the layers of like drone and then a thing over the top and this creating this unsettling atmosphere just became like a really like fascinating point for me. And I was like, I've kind of weaved it into my own music over the years. And people always say that like Ventenner would always sound good on like a film or a soundtrack. And
hmm.
people have been saying that to me like since the beginning. And I'm like, oh, thanks. That's very, but like actually getting to start to do film scores and stuff and actually get to make those kind of textures and ideas come to life and also not be distracted by vocals because that's generally where people's listening goes to.
Yeah.
Being able to do that like on my own terms and make just something really long and dark and creepy it's been great. I've been really enjoying it. So but yeah, I mean soundtrack wise, I mean, I don't know. At the moment, I'm trying to think what I've been listening to. I mean, I do. I mean, I have liked quite a lot of Trent and Atticus's work. I mean, I'm a big
Hmm.
Nine Inch Nails fan. They've done some good stuff, but I think a few of them have been of misses. Um, I do like Thomas Newman, and Hans Zimmer's got a little bit boring in later years, in my opinion. But I did like the Blade Runner 2049 soundtrack he did.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was great. So there are quite a few people doing some interesting, cool stuff. The guy's name who I always forget, the guy who just did White Lotus, does loads of really, really weird sounds and musical ideas. He's really cool. And I was actually listening to the Goblin soundtrack the other day from Suspiria, because that's a great one as well. Really unsettling. If you
What,
want to hear a
trying
genuinely terrifying score, you may have seen this, but just earlier this year they released for the first time ever properly the Texas Chainsaw Massacre score in its entirety, and it's
Yes.
horrifying. It's just like an hour of horror. Like it's just it's grim.
It's one for the fans, put it that way.
Yeah, I loved it. I was like, this is just, and like the amount of times my wife comes in and like I'll be sat there in the office doing something. She comes in, she's like, "What are you listening to? Like this is awful." And I mean, I love it. I can't get enough.
I think that's fascinating. Going back what you said, what have you had a chance yet to hear the Tron Ares soundtrack?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, right, I gotta get your opinion on what do you think?
Well, I mean, so I mean, people, especially because the music I do, and people know that I'm a big Nine Inch Nails fan. Like
Mm,
a lot of people, like on the day it came out, they're like, "So, what do you think? What do you think?" And I was like, "It's okay." I was
mm,
like, "It's all right." It was a little. I thought personally they phoned it in a little bit. I get that obviously Wendy Carlos did the original soundtrack, and there was some kind of like nods to her work. Uh, but I don't know. There was out of the songs on there, they obviously they did like a couple of actual kind of what you'd call proper songs with lyrics and stuff. And one of the songs on there was amazing. The name escapes me
mm.
now. I can't remember what it was called, but um, that was a really one of the best Nine Inch Nails songs I've heard in years. The actual score, I don't know, wasn't for me.
Mm.
Bit samey. Other people have said it's amazing. So, I just looked it up. It's called "I Know You Can Feel It." That was it.
Oh, yes.
Great song, absolutely amazing.
No, I was
Uh,
interested because yeah, I mean, I was last night. I was like, okay, I'm going to give this one a go. Finally, I was kind of putting it off because I'm a Nine Inch Nails fan. I'm a Tron fan. Obviously, Daft Punk absolutely killed it on Legacy, so I was kind of like nervous about what was going to happen here, and I just kind of came away going, eh,
yeah,
you know,
same. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's fine. I was
yeah.
the best way I put it. Someone asked me, and I said, I'm whelmed. I'm not underwhelmed or overwhelmed. I'm just whelmed. I was like, there is nothing else to say about it. So, interestingly, going back to Wendy Carlos, like, I mean, she's old now. She's getting on, and she doesn't really kind of work or keep in touch with the world. But she's got a website, and um, if you email her, like the guy who runs her website, he'll read the emails to her. So
Oh wow.
whenever I finish the score or something, or whenever I've done something new, like I often just drop her an email and go like, just say thanks. I'm just like, thank you for your ongoing inspiration. Like I still listen to your stuff from 50 years ago. And even though I'll never hear back from her, just like the idea that she's reading that somewhere and going, oh, I made a difference to someone, which is yeah. So if you ever want to drop her an email, just go on our website.
Incredible. What a legacy, right?
Yeah.
That's still yeah, that's fantastic. Oh, we got to move on. We got to move over.
Sorry,
We got to
sorry.
talk about. No, no, not at all. It's been fascinating. It's been great to talk just like about stuff like this. We got to talk a little bit about Ventenner because we're here to talk about Ventenner in the now, not looking at the past, but rather what is now, which is fucking great in my opinion. How does it feel to you to be talking about Ventenner as a thing that's happening now rather than a thing that was?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite very relevant actually, like to how I
Mm,
kind of feel about it because it feels like we were very much a thing. Kind of like 2000 and sort of 14, 17, we started really getting noticed and playing big shows. And then like 18 and 19, we sort of kept going better and better. And we were doing a lot of things and we were tied in with a lot of different brands and tours and all kinds of cool stuff. And then after 2020, like we'd had like obviously like COVID had taken its toll on everything anyway. And we'd had a reshuffle in the ranks of like who was in the band. And it felt like yeah, it felt like was something that maybe we weren't going to get back to that level of momentum again.
mm,
Um, but I don't know if that was a kind of product of my own doing or whether it was just the way I was viewing it or maybe the timing wasn't right. It's hard to say, but it felt like it was kind of stalling for a bit. And even though I was still putting out music, there was no sense of kind of urgency or momentum. And it feels now with especially with the new guys in the band, and that we've got tour plans lined up for next year, and we've got this new EP. And I don't know, it just feels like things are kind of um almost like come full circle, but arrived at a new place. So it's kind of like been through some kind of difficult sort of transitional period and it's popped out the other end and it's like we're now version 2.0. It feels like this is like a new beginning to something that was before. So yeah, I mean, very feeling very kind of present and on the ball, and people seem to like the new EP so far, like the new music. We experimented quite a lot over the last few years with different stuff, which I think is important as a musician. I think you've got to try new stuff and you've got to grow, and not everyone will like that. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, I think what we're doing now, it sounds pretty cool, and I think we kind of there's a renewed vigor. Yeah.
And there's clearly a renewed interest in Ventenner as well, because the response to Ultraviolet and Solvent has been fantastic. It's been really great to see. That response, has it kind of matched your expectations? What did that look like?
No, I mean, I think over the last few years, like I kind of expected a lot of the music we'd done, even though I was very proud of it, it wasn't necessarily reaching the same audience. I think for a variety of reasons. I think mostly because press coverage had dropped off a lot, again, by our own doing. Like we left management and we left our publisher and we weren't using a publicist, and I was kind of just doing it for me. Like, so it wasn't resonating as much, but also I think because the musical style changes so much, like on the last album we did, all our original fans from back in the day who were like very much into industrial metal were like, what the fuck is this? And it hadn't really found like its new sort of audience yet with the newer stuff. So it's been kind of a bit, I don't know. I feel like I was just kind of in this weird, that like sort of period where like Bowie went off to Berlin and just did loads of weird stuff.
Yeah.
In hindsight, people really like those albums, but at the time, everyone's like, "What are you doing? This is really weird. Why have you written this?" Like, and I feel like, not that I'm comparing myself to Bowie, but I feel like, the last kind of few records have very much just been like me doing what I needed to do, and that hasn't necessarily resonated with people in the same way. This new stuff seems to be resonating a lot more. People seem to really like it, so it's been a very welcome surprise so far.
But you needed that period, right? You needed that time to do what you wanted to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've always gone down the sort of route of thinking, if you're a musician or an artist or a writer or a filmmaker or anyone creative, if they're doing their job properly, it's pretty unlikely you're going to like all their work, because there's going to be a point where you line up with them and you go, this is perfect, but then maybe you don't like their early work or their later work. And I think if an artist is constantly changing, it's unlikely that each person's going to change with them in the same way. So yeah, I mean, I think I've gone through that kind of more creative songwriting period, and now I'm doing something that is seeming, I don't know, a lot of other things seem to be lining up. We've just sort of signed with a new live agent, and we're starting to get labels talking to us again and stuff. So it's something's happened.
Oh yeah, I mean it's good that something is happening. It's good that these things are happening and that you're encouraged by what you're experiencing around you, because it's a long and winding road to release as well. You've got to release the singles, you've got to do promotion, you've got to talk, you've got to get out there, you've got to get on social media and do all of these things.
Yeah.
How do you enjoy this side of things, that long and winding road, the work that's got to go into promoting a release?
No, I detest it. I'm very impatient. When I'm doing my own stuff, like not so much with scores because I kind of have to sit on them a little bit, but like if I'm doing anything that's a bit more of a passion project or like something like on my solo stuff, I'm like, I mix and master it and I get it out on streaming within like 2 days. I'm like, I want it to be there. I get quite itchy feet with anything like that. So Um, yeah, having to sit on a release for ages and then play the game of like single one, single two, PR. I get it why it's important. I'm very impatient. But I mean, I get it. These things take time, and I mean, there's no point in rushing it at the last minute when you've spent a year getting to the point of actually, writing, recording, mixing, producing. Like no one sees what goes into it. So, um, yeah. But I mean, that said, I've already got 28 songs written for the next Ventenner record. So,
Wow.
like, I'm going to start refining them soon. So that will be going ahead probably by early next year. So, yeah.
I'm not
Very
surprised. I
busy.
don't think I speak to a single artist or band ever to this point. I've been doing this a while, who isn't immediately wanting to talk about what comes next rather than what's right now.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to like I tend to like not like kind of talk about what's coming up because I also don't want to jinx it in any way and kind of go like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this thing and then it doesn't happen. But
Yep.
I am always writing. Like I never get to a point where I'm like, I've got nothing to do. Like I've always got like at least four things in the fire. And if I haven't, I'll find something.
I understand. Slow Dissolve, though, that's the EP. October 31st. We are almost there. But I got to take you back a little bit, really, to the start and the vision for this EP. In particular, the moment perhaps where the spark ignited. What did that look like? And was there any one thing that you can point at as kind of the catalyst for the writing for this EP?
There wasn't like there wasn't anything like it feels like there was something specific, but it's really hard to point to. I know like so a couple of the ideas of the songs had kind of circulated around in the past. So the song I did with Maya from Cold in Berlin was Sway. That was a reworked version of a song we'd done previously. I'd started this solo project a couple of years ago called Last Sign, and I'd never really
Yep.
had the time to do anything with it. So so that song was kind of there, and I was like, well, I'd like to include that in some format or another. And I had a couple of song ideas left over from the last album, Exit Manual, and a couple of ideas, a couple of riffs here and there. But there was something about I wanted to make something because the last record had been quite depressing and dark,
Mm.
and I wanted to make something very beefy and chunky and easy to listen to, and kind of a very obvious chorus and a very, big hook. And I kind of wanted to go back to what I know about, because essentially all I've done is written very, very hot, heavy pop music. Like I've always gone with like that kind of format. And I was like, I want to get back to that. And going back to that sort of industrial drums and like dirgy guitars and stuff. And I was like, this is what I know. I've been trying to get away from that for ages. Maybe I should just go back to it and
Mm.
see what comes out. So it actually sounds like a lot of my earlier work. But with sort of 10 plus years of experience and yeah. So
The
yeah,
vi
I think it was getting back to kind of grassroots, maybe feel like I'd sort of floated off in the wrong direction, and this was I need to be pulled back and go, right, get back to where you were. This you know how to do that. And it felt kind of like I was saying about that full circle thing earlier, it felt like something that I was like, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. I know this. This is what I'm going to do. I wasn't taking the easy route with it. I was just like, I feel like I'm being more true to myself rather than trying to be something else that I maybe am not as good at.
It must have been tempting though to kind of go off wandering, so to speak, to experiment in new ways, because ultimately you must have felt like you had a blank slate for what Ventenna could be as you moved forward, right?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely did experiment. I mean, like especially on like Solvent, the new single, like
Mm.
for me to do a quiet chorus is very unlike me. Like for like this heavy kind of metal song to drop back and have like a very piano-led, quiet, softly sung chorus was yeah, definitely a kind of a departure for me. I've been listening to been listening to Black Star, Bowie's last album, a lot
Yeah.
recently. And I think that kind of fed into it, this kind of slightly more melodic approach to doing that chorus. I was like, I need something to juxtapose against it. So so yeah, I mean, the writing process was actually quite easy.
Mm.
I think I was just being honest with myself, and I also this EP, I kind of not that I don't appreciate working with the guys and the rest of the band, but I was like, I just need to get these songs done by myself. Like this just
Yeah.
needs to be something I need to do. Like I think once I get this out of my system, I'll feel a lot more, I don't know, something cathartic has occurred. So I was
Mm.
like, just need to get these songs out, then the four of us can sit down and jam the next record. But I think for now, I just need to do this by myself. And I didn't even get Luke the drummer involved. I did everything by myself. And it just I was like, yeah, I just need to be a bit of a control freak for a bit.
Did you toy with the idea of going a bit further with it? Like, did you ever think, okay, there's enough music here, I'm creating enough good things like this could be more than an EP? Was there ever any thought about an album?
Yeah, there definitely was. I actually thought originally about doing uh a mixture of because Ted, the guitarist, had sent over a couple of song ideas. I was like, oh, they're pretty cool. And I had another song I'd written for a soundtrack that I hadn't used, and I was like, well, that could be quite cool. And I did toy with the idea of an album. I actually wanted to I toyed with the idea of doing two EPs released on the same day.
Oh,
And I was like, that could be quite cool. But I sat there looking at the folders on my desktop, moving things around, and I was like, no, that one needs to go. No, that one. And eventually I was like, I think this really is only going to be three or four songs. I was like, I think this is how it needs to be. And then because I tend to use the EPs as sort of stepping stones between albums, I was like, this is the best place for the song with Maya and the other three. It can sit there. It's going to be its own little thing. And then, yeah, we'll move on to the next thing next. But yeah, I kind of have to rein myself in now and again and not get
yeah.
carried away with it. I have to, at some point, I have to go a cool time and go, this is it.
Well, you would have been working so hard as well, doing everything yourself. My God, you must have come up against some seriously challenging moments during the creative process. Was there anything particularly that really tested you?
Yeah, I mean, coming up with the melodies, like the vocal melodies, especially by myself, was tricky. Um, it's kind of harder and easier because it's harder in the sense that you're like, well, yeah, I've got to do all this work by myself, but you've also got no one else kind of second guessing you
Mm.
or going, oh, what about this? Or what I think this would be better. So it's kind of like it's easier in the sense that I'm doing it all by myself, but there is this little voice in you going, but are you doing it badly? And you're like, well, that may be the case, but I am doing it by myself. So you're kind of just plowing on ahead blindly and just going, I think this is going to work, and just kind of hoping for the best. I mean, the guy I work with in London, a guy called Max, he does all my vocal recording and he's mixed a few of my records. He's usually a good canary down the mine as well. Like
Okay.
if I send him like the initial demos and go, this is what we're going to do, he'll tell me pretty quickly like this sounds great, or he's like, really? So
Oh,
yeah. So yeah, he was kind of a good sounding board for that. Um, but I mean, the actual recording process was actually pretty easy. I mean, like I've got better at like my guitar technique in later years, and I've got to get better at my production technique. So it's kind of pretty streamlined now. Like going to the point from like coming up with an idea to having a finished song doesn't really take more than a day normally.
okay.
So I can hammer through it pretty quickly once the initial ideas are there. And I'll sometimes go back. I've got a little archive folder of songs that never got used. It's got hundreds of songs in there, and I'll go back and sometimes go, "Oh, I forgot about that little bit." I'll just pinch that and put it in, and it eventually finds the light of day. So
The joy of those folders, those big old hard drives, sometimes it's hundreds, thousands, if not little bits that one day might just return
okay,
in some way.
exactly, yeah, yeah, it's happened many, many times.
And looking at the overall creative process again, but this time from a more positive perspective, when you look back at what you created here, what you did, and the work that went into it, what are some of your favorite moments?
Um, I'm pretty happy with the like all of the songs. Like I haven't listened to any of them and gone like, oh no, I wish I hadn't done that. Like I'm pretty happy with the way all of them have come out.
Mm.
Sometimes something I'm not particularly happy with, I'll play to like the wife or the band or friends, and they'll be like, no, 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 that's great. It sounds really cool. And I'm like, I have to just trust you on that. But I am happy with like the kind of overall sound. It sounds very thick and massive and like very dense. Uh, I had a like a girl I work with a lot. she played it to her fellow the other day, and he didn't know what it was, and he was like, "Oh, this sounds like the Queen of the Dam soundtrack." And I was like,
Oh.
"That's a good review. I will take that." Like that's that's something that I've been aiming for a long time. I'm not particularly kind of overly self-congratulatory with this sort of stuff, but I have listened to the EP a few times, and I'm pretty happy with this. I think it sounds pretty good. Um, I've tried to push myself vocally a few times,
Hmm.
especially on those softer choruses and on the slightly more like higher sung bits. And I'm quite happy with the lyrics as well, especially on the last song, Relic. That was kind of a very kind of poignant song about. It was basically just saying like, am I a good person? Like when I die, are people going to say
Hmm.
good things about me?
Hmm.
And reflecting on that. And that was quite a kind of poignant kind of thing to put into a song. So, I mean, yeah, overall, I'm really proud of this record. I'm not shying away from it at all, which I definitely have done in the past. Like some records, when I've done them, I've been like, it's good, but it's not amazing.
Yeah.
But I've done now. And, you know,
Do you think that comes from being older as well and more developed as an artist? That well, because when you're younger, I swear we're more self-critical than we need to be when we're younger. We kind of pick ourselves apart a little bit more than we do necessarily when we're older. We're a bit more relaxed maybe about things and sort of, oh, think that it's good and I like it and that's all that matters.
well, yeah, and I mean, you get kind of, I think when you're younger as well, especially as a musician, you're kind of so hung up on like these are my influences. I want to be like Deftones. I want to be like Tool, and this doesn't sound as good as that. But you're too
Mm,
close to it to make that cool. Um, and I'm getting better at letting go a little bit as well, working with other musicians, like working with the whole band on the last album was really cool. But also there's an element of like Luke, the drummer's been in the band forever. So like I know we kind of just know what to do.
yeah.
With Ted and Romy, like Romy, I've never let anyone sing on a Ventenner song before, ever. So to let someone like kind of take the lead on that was like a big kind of like handing the reins over.
Yeah.
And Ted had written like 4 songs for the last album just completely by himself. And so I am getting better at letting go, but also I've picked the right people to trust because I when they present something, I'm like, that's awesome. Whereas in the past, people have presented something and I've gone, I don't like that, but we're supposed to be a democracy, so I have to say that I kind of do, to not rock the boat. And so yeah, being working with people you actually know you're on the same wavelength, it works perfectly. Like, yeah.
Oh, it's such a pleasure, isn't it? It's so damn difficult, but it is great when you find the right people.
Yes, it is.
What do you hope listeners kind of take away from the EP overall? And I guess by proxy, new Ventana music overall.
Um, I think people will think we're kind of gone back to our roots a little bit,
Hmm.
and will be pleased to hear like, you know, oh, they're back, they're here again, they're present, they're relevant, they have returned somewhat, and this music is showing that. I think I'd like to hope that people pick up on the nuances in the lyrics. And where I am as a person. I mean, some people do. Some people do message me and be like, "Oh, this song really resonated with me," and I get it's really gratifying seeing people all over the world who I've never met drop me messages on Instagram and stuff and be like, "This is like the most important song to me ever." Like, and I'm like,
Wow.
"Thank you, Joe from Texas. Like, that's really cool. I love that I can resonate with someone that far away and maybe put into a sound something that you felt which you couldn't really pin down before." Um, so I mean, like, yeah, I think I hope people listen to it and consume it in the way I do. I hope it, makes their run better or their drive better or, just absorbing something and I guess getting a little bit closer to, I don't know, my complicated inner bollocks that's trying to come. I don't know. Like, I mean, it's hard to say what I really
Yeah.
kind of why I do this. I don't know why I make music. I just don't know what else to do. Like,
I often hear sometimes the response to that sort of question is you make music because you have to, right? Because what else would you do if you didn't?
well, that's the thing. Yeah, I was having this kind of like a playful argument with a friend of mine recently, who's a very well known um, metal journalist, and I was like, I was circling around, like saying that like cliched thing of like, oh, I just make music for myself, and if other people like it too, that's great. And she's like, that's such a cliche. And I'm like, well, yeah, but it is true because I still make it, even if I had zero audience and no one had ever listened to my music, I'd still be making it the way I'm making it. Like, um, if it resonates with other people, that's cool. I don't think I'm ever going to be selling out Wembley Stadium because I don't think what I have to say is going to resonate with as many people. But if it gets to land in a few places, cool. I'm happy with that. And I think I'd still be doing it regardless of whether I'm making, you know, millions and millions of pounds or, working in the local fishmongers or something. It doesn't matter. Like I'd still be doing it the same way.
And nothing can replace those messages from Joe from Texas, like those are so specific, so important, so individual that yeah, you could earn a ton of money in Wembley and all of that, but those messages are just as important, I would think anyway.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I think that's why I wanted to make music, and I think knowing what an important role music played in me as a teenager and a
Mm.
young guy, like growing up and kind of finding my own voice in other people's words and other people's music. I'm like, he sounds like how I feel. Like that makes sense to me now. Like I feel like less alone or more connected, or it's, that's a really powerful thing. And I think that is to me no different to what someone would get from, you know, I guess maybe supporting their, local football team and going to with all
Yeah.
the fans, or someone finding religion or faith or whatever. Like if you can feel a bit more connected to something outside of you, that's quite a profound feeling in whichever way you feel it.
Well said. This has been incredible, Charlie, but we are coming to the end. We kind of got to wrap it up because we are big time running out of time. But I got one more for you. Really, you kind of touched upon this already, so I'm not going to kind of expect you to go too in depth here in regards to what comes next. And really, it's the remainder of the year and into 2026. I kind of just want to know that you're planning, and based on what you said already with the music and the shows, you're going to be busy, right? 2026, busy ass year.
Yeah. So I'm finishing off a film score at the moment for a film called Spectrum, that my buddy Janelle has written and directed. So that's really cool. So I'm finishing that off now, and then possible another feature film at the end of this year to score. Starting to write ideas for the next Ventenner record. We've got quite a lot of those together. Finishing off producing work for a couple of records. And then next year, yeah, new Ventenner album, definitely going on a big tour, which I can't really say
Mm.
anything about yet, but that's definitely happening. And I've always wanted to do like a live album and like a live session film for like video and audio. So I'm working on that as well. Because a lot of people, we don't tour a lot. We rarely play live. So I think after next year, playing quite a lot of live shows, there'll be a lot of people in all over that never get a chance to see us. So I'm like, I want to make some video content for people to see us playing in a live session environment. So yeah, that's definitely something we're going to do next year.
Incredible. So much to do. I don't know how you'll have the time. So I better let you go. So you get on with this stuff. But first, Slow Dissolve, October 31st. Very, very important. We get that date out there. Make sure you check it out. And I cannot wait to see, well, what happens over the next year, particularly if you're out and about live, because I've never seen you play. So that would be awesome to experience. And fingers crossed I get to do it. Charlie, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Likewise, buddy. Thanks.
Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.